Good morning, everybody. Give you another minute to get in. So happy to see you. Yes, Sunday morning. Here we are. So let's meditate a little bit to come into common space. So take your attention inside. Let's go all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. And breathe through your mouth. Actually feel your breath going all the way down. And feel your pelvis just relax. And allow it to kind of spread out, the opposite of what we try to do most of the time. And feel yourself rooted where your body meets the chair or the cushion, whatever you're sitting on. And allow yourself to deeply relax, feeling that center, that energy center. And when that feels available, you can stay here as long as you want before you move up. When that center feels pretty available, move your attention. Energy follows attention. So you move your attention up just a little bit below the belly button. And interestingly, there is a very strong connection between this center slightly below the belly button and divinity. The belly button is, we would say, when the belly button is cut, our connection from there reassociates with divinity. That's where our mother is once we have arrived on Earth. So it's a little different from focusing on all that being available above the head. It's not exactly not available there. It's just that both places are very important. So feel into that belly button chakra as a deep connection to personal divinity. Which becomes impersonal divinity. Divinity is neither personal nor impersonal. It's completely inclusive. There is no part of us that is separate. But in the beginning, especially, it really helps to regard it as personal, because it's never not personal. And if we think of it as only impersonal, then we're losing access to the warmth and joy and love personally that connection offers. In other words, it's a safe haven. No matter what kind of chaos is going on in our mind. So feel that area soften and be available to whatever it wants to share with you. And it takes some work, because all of us were schooled in the hold your belly in mantra that every little girl learned. soon after arrival. And breathing through the mouth helps us to really ground there. In a way to own that connection more deeply. And as that becomes more comfortable and accessible, allow your attention to go to the diaphragm energy center just below the rib cage and feel that through the body, not just the front, but the back. Breathe into the back of the diaphragm. Very often that's a hiding place for some unresolved energies. And just allow it to relax and feel warmth, like melting. And take your time. This is often a new place to explore. And use your breath through your mouth to release anything you might find there. Or at least begin to warm it up with your breath and your attention and your gratitude for access. And feel for a sensation of melting anything that might be a little bit sticky. And we find it often helps to make yourself available to receive any information that might want to come forward. But also, it's not necessary. Whatever happens, cultivate, witness, and allowing are the two big words we use for inner experience. And when you're ready, gently move your attention to your heart center. And again, feel into the back of your heart. We can usually pretty easily get a frontal glow going from our heart. Sometimes the back has a little bit of shadow in it. Feel into that and ask it to release. And if the breathing through the mouth is too intense, it's totally fine to breathe through your nose. The whole experience is to find our place of comfort inside ourselves and allow our bodies to relax so they're no longer the focus of our attention. When you're ready, allow your attention to come up to your throat center. Sometimes for me, it helps to just grab any energy that's kind of lingering there and kind of toss it away. Whatever helps to get that release. And then now feel into the back of your neck behind your throat and release any tension you find there. And if you feel a sense of your body falling away, just allow. And either way of breathing is totally fine. When you're ready, allow your attention to drift upward to the third eye. Again, feeling into your forehead, then the center of your head, and then a little into the back. And now, before we go any further, just welcome a flood of white light coming in from the top of your head, cleansing any residue of heaviness. And visualize it as a kind of nectar that comes in and blesses us. And takes away anything that no longer serves. Just allow it to release from the top all the way down out our hands and feet. Notice that your hands and feet are totally relaxed, and then allow them to disappear. And you may have the experience that you are an energy being. As the body falls away. And now just feel for the path of the circulation of the energy. And there are so many channels that nothing that you experience is not true. We tend to focus on the central channel. But all types of circulation are happening. Just allow yourself to feel. And ask deeply to be aligned with the highest, best expression of your own field of energy in union with the highest, best for the whole, which is source energy. And as we tune ourselves to this union, we come into alignment with the highest purpose of being a human being. And this alignment allows to free ourselves from any matrix of belief that may not resonate as true anymore. Allow yourself to explore this experience of energy being. And if your mind starts up, take your attention to your belly button. Go to the quiet there. You may even feel a womb-like space. There is no time in union. And now completely embodying this union, allow yourself to gently open your eyes, slowly, nothing fast, and see what it feels like to be in two dimensions at once. So we know it's not really fair to ask for questions right this minute, but we're happy to entertain any reports, questions, answers, experiences. We love being with you. So anything is welcome. And please don't wait for an invitation. We're not always looking in a specific person's direction. So just start talking when you're ready. Or if you want, you can type a question into the chat and Brenda will read it to us.
No question, just wanted to thank you for holding this space. I
Mm.
needed this today.
Oh, so welcome. Mm.
Good morning.
Good morning. So happy to see you.
Nice to be here. I'm happy you're here. In the last few weeks, a couple of people have mentioned severing ties with relationships that are no longer, I don't know, beneficial or whatever. And this past week, I got some news about someone in my family who for me, inexplicitly holds so much anger and hatred toward me
Mm.
and is sort of attempting to get people on her side, so to speak.
Mm.
And I'm so thankful for this work and for a lot of the other teachings that I've had, not to take things personally, and everyone's in their own dream and so on and so forth. But still, I just don't know how to hold this. It doesn't it doesn't hurt as it did years ago when this started, but I'm a little surprised that it's still going on because it's been 30 years or so. I
Well,
just I don't I just don't know what to do with this information.
Well, first of all, understand that it's no longer going on in you,
Right.
that it doesn't have to go on in you any longer, that you've probably gained everything you're going to gain from it in terms of awareness at this point. And if that's not true, and it's important to sit with, am I really done with reacting to this? Because maybe there is some reaction. And that is totally human, having a reaction to being attacked by someone who shares your DNA. It's almost impossible not to react whenever it begins again, or whenever you're reminded of that tidal wave of negativity that rolls in, And so there are a few things we'll say about it. First of all, because the overall planetary energy is agitated, it's a perfect time for people to awaken to the things they have always blamed as the source of their own agitation, the things and people, whether there's any truth to it or not. And so it's a little bit too idealistic to expect that other people are going to have processed their negativity just because you have. So exactly. So when that wave rolls in again, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, things are a little bit agitated. Here we go again. But that doesn't mean you have to get on the roller coaster. Just because it waves at you doesn't mean it's yours to do anything else with. You can, in yourself, be so totally grateful that you no longer, as you just said, you no longer are devastated by this wave, because you have come to understand that you're not the source of the wave, and that the other person is not over it is not your responsibility. You can certainly wish them well, but you don't have to reinforce that energetic connection at this point, because it doesn't serve you at all. So in a way, to reinforce that being in any way is to do harm to yourself. So you just say, oh, okay, there's a reason that I'm not really involved with this person. And so I'm just not going to get involved. And you let it pass by. And then you kind of flush. You just let it go. It's not yours to do anything with. And you know by now that anyone in your circle who's going to react to it will react to it the way they're going to react to it, and you have no control over that. There's no way you can do damage control with this thing. It's not new information for anybody, and you know that you've done nothing to invite it, and that the best thing you can do for yourself is let go of it with confidence. Just let it pass right by, because it's not part of your life anymore.
I do recognize that, and I tell myself this really has nothing to do with me. And
And
I
see how
was
that
able to go
resonates.
to,
Does,
pardon?
does that really resonate deeply with you, that
Yes,
there's
it
nothing,
really, it's
there's
so
nothing
far
to do
removed
about
from
it?
me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like seeing a commercial on TV for a product you don't like. It's just,
Yeah,
has nothing to do with you.
right. But I'm so thankful because I was able to go to the Anasa temple and wish this person the highest and best and pray for her well-being. I feel kind of sorry for her. I'm sad for her because she must be in terrible pain. I can't imagine.
Well, she's going to carry this to the grave, and
Yeah,
that's not your problem.
yeah,
So you're right to feel sorry for her.
yeah.
We're checking with Rebecca, and she's allowing us to share an experience that kind of downloaded from the ether this week, completely unexpected. And anyway, she was sitting in meditation, and suddenly a part of her started screaming at her, "You betrayed me." And as she looked down, it's like there was a cut across her belly with a sword, and there was blood flowing out, and her guts were like hanging out in her hands. And this voice said, "Every time you agreed with them, you betrayed me." And this is a part of her that was completely damaged at an age when she had no particular opinion even or any way of responding. And this voice was telling the truth that whenever you agreed with them, you betrayed me. And so this is a deep part coming forward to be healed. And this is often the way Rebecca's inner dramatically informs her of what is not yet complete. And so this happened. And was witnessed. And the processing of it, you can see how the processing of it brings one into wholeness. You know, it's yet another very graphic representation of, who knows exactly what the experience was. It doesn't even matter. But the matrix of belief was imposed, accepted, and the self was denied. And so now it's claiming its rightful place, the capital S self. And so the only thing to do is to be grateful for that experience, no matter how painful and graphic and, in a way, weird. It is one's subconscious rising up, delivering a message of wholeness that must be received. And we're talking about it because we all have, if not from this lifetime, from other lifetimes, these experiences outside of time and space. The time and space isn't even important. It's that this happened, and acknowledging in ourselves that this happened and that we will not allow it to happen again. We will use all our power to support ourselves and everyone we meet in becoming whole. That doesn't mean that we don't say no to relationships that don't serve us. We must not waste our energy. where it's not wanted. At the same time, our own healing and our own capacity to heal others through our own experience as we get stronger is our greatest gift. And that's why we're sharing this with you, because these things will happen maybe not so graphically, or maybe, more graphically in a different way for you. We're sharing this because we want you to welcome whatever part of you is not yet completely resolved, and however it wants to appear. And it's not that we cultivate these experiences. What we're cultivating is becoming whole, becoming in union with that which is divine. And so we share for that reason. And part of the deal Rebecca has with us is that we share her experience so that it can help others. So these things happen and have happened. All of us were handed a matrix of belief that in some ways had nothing to do with being a whole person. And it's not that the people who delivered this matrix of belief were evil or had even any kind of evil intention. They were repeating what was gifted to them from the matrix of belief of the peers and elders that educated them about how to be in the world. But it is a warning to us to examine our matrix of belief as we impose it on others, which we do in every conversation we have, and discover for ourselves, cultivate with our deepest inner the willingness to allow resolution, allow the voice of the parts of us that got betrayed or buried or who knows what. It doesn't matter what. What matters is that we allow them to come forward and be reclaimed in our own quest for wholeness. And that we not be surprised when we ourselves have these experiences or others around us need support as they go through these experiences. Because, there's a certain blood and guts that we have to confront in ourselves in our own becoming. So we thought we'd share that. Mm-hmm. And, as we said, time and space are not relevant. We don't know what lifetime this experience was from, or if it happened in that graphic way, or it was the graphics were a demonstration of the feelings. And, who knows the relationship between drama and trauma? It doesn't matter. And sometimes trauma takes drama to be released. Andrew, anything?
Uh, Not quite a formulated question, but something about, you know, coming from your perspective, Anasa, what, you know, the amount of impatience we have with our own self and our own inability to concentrate, our own ability to get it. Is that something that you share? Or,
It is something that we completely empathize with. We are always in union, and there's no such thing as a concept of non-union for us. We are here to deliver you from the illusion of non-union. Every human being is already in union, but doesn't recognize that we are surrounded by divinity in every possible way, but it is our matrix of belief that fails to recognize, value, and support the recognition of the union so that we can all live from divine consciousness, which is what the consequences of completion of the awareness of that union, that's what happens. So we are constantly inviting the revelation internally for each human being to discover union and wholeness and the release from matrix of belief that is not true. Matrix of belief that would have us think of ourselves as separate, individual outcasts from the divine. And it is our matrix of belief that is responsible for this perception of separation. And the union, it can be found through the breath. Into the space between the breaths. Union is an energetic event. An energetic understanding, an expansion of our perception of who and what we are as human beings, to embrace that which is our birthright. And clear out the misperceptions from our physiology and our psychology and our nervous system. One of the fundamental aspects of union is to be at peace. And wholeness invites the entire spectrum of human experience. So nothing is denied. Nothing is not welcome. But it no longer the diversity of our own experience is no longer the distraction from the wholeness that becomes available. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. And I think, I feel that, to the degree that people are presently unable to extricate themselves from their matrix of belief, or they perceive that they are, you know, that from your point of view, I assume beyond time and space, there's no such thing as impatience with that. It's just,
Exactly. Exactly. And we can see ourselves as watching our own movie, and just gradually extricating, pulling off the slime and the blinders and and sometimes what we see is horrific and sometimes we see is joy beyond imagination. And the whole of it is available. And most human beings live, in this very narrow, tight, you know, matrix of belief that doesn't allow for a deep breath. And so as we expand our capacity to breathe, our capacity to allow our assumptions to just dissipate, because about every assumption that we have made about what it is to be human makes our life small. And as we expand our awareness and our ability to live with our own diversity is the first part, so that we aren't rejecting all these things that, we've been told are socially unacceptable about us. The first thing is to destroy all of that. That's all illusion. None of that has anything to do with anything about why we're here or what it is we're trying to become. All these social evaluations of what we should look like, who we should be, and how we should behave, they have nothing to do with anything at all that's real. And for the most part, we'll still follow them, not because we believe it, but because it creates a sort of ease and allows people to access us. At the same time, we become invisible to those who don't need to know about us because we don't exactly live up to those expectations. So people who live from judgment don't come near us. Does that make any sense? And or say nothing, because just our openness and availability is enough to make, rigid people very cautious around us. And we've all kind of had that experience, I'm sure. What a great question. Thank you.
So, and you could say that people are trying to achieve something, assumably as part of their matrix of belief, but if your matrix of belief is, I'm not whole until I've got rid of my matrix of belief, also implies that, I'm less than, or something.
Well, understand that three-dimensional reality is about creating division rather than including everything. It's about dimensional points, and 3 dimensions are not very many in the scheme of things. And so that we have 3-dimensional minds as human beings means that a lot of what reality is unthinkable. So when we understand that our mind is a huge limitation, that's when we start feeling into the belly. Because this is an amazing point of connection. And, the gut mind is a very real thing. And this is part of our connection to the wholeness. And beginning to live from that mind, which is not so 3-dimensional. And it requires the willingness to entertain that we truly are an energetic being. And we've been telling Rebecca for some time that this connection is really, really important, but she had to hear it from somebody else or read it from somewhere before she would start talking about it, because her own limitation and willingness to accept what we tell her. So exploring this place, this energy center as a union center, our umbilical cord to the divine, is worth experimenting with. So the understanding that our brain cannot handle beyond 3-dimensional reality, that it's a limitation, frees us to explore our other energy centers freely. Because as we've said, there's no reason for humanity to be limited to three-dimensional reality. And the matrix of belief has shifted us all into this limited space. All our attention is in this limited space. But there's no reason we have to live there. That doesn't have to be our choice anymore. So we invite you to enter this great experiment of holding your attention in your belly and allowing expansion. And think about how that's been demonized. So we welcome your feedback, both now and over time. How may we serve? We are so delighted by this conversation. So we'll say this, fifth dimensional reality is where everyone lives from the assumption of love. And so the assumption of abundance. And it's unthinkable not to have those as fundamental. And so experience has a whole different baseline. There's something else we want you to know about us. Rebecca once referred to us as aliens, and we corrected her immediately because we're not aliens. We're right here. We are always here and available. We are in a frequency that human beings rarely reach. And because the overriding human nature is to fear that which is not immediately understandable, we can rarely communicate. But we are not alien. We are love itself. We are not separate. And we know we're not separate. That never even enters into anything about us. But we want to help dispel the delusion of separation that humanity has.
Just want to say thank you because your message gives me so much hope, and the knowing that you are always here and the knowing that you are part of the origination of love gives me so much hope. And I know for myself personally makes the breathing in and breathing out and the waking up every day a lot easier. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Human beings have been so manipulated by their capacity for fear that we often can't get through. And then you can see it takes a long time for the concepts to settle. Even, Rebecca is she's as completely as available as she can be. We'll say that. But it still takes time and a certain kind of confidence.
It's that proverbial leap of faith.
Yes. Yes. And then there is the finding language to communicate.
Yes.
Because what we are, what we have to offer is not available easily in 3 dimensions. It's not that it's separate. It's not at all separate. It just doesn't fit into language, 3-dimensional language.
I was raised by a father who never, even though he was in the military, he would joke about time because he was in the Air Force. So if you arrived somewhere on time, you were late. And, but he used to tell us all the time that time wasn't real. And so, sometimes when I hear you talk, I think about the message within the message when he was talking to us. And I know from my own family, there's only myself and my other who is on here too today who recognized that part of his speech, that there was always a message inside the message. And when I hear you speak about trying to convey from 5th dimension to 3rd dimension, it's always reminds me of that. There's always more. There's always so much more in what he said. and you had to listen so that you could really hear the message in the message. And when I watch you and listen to you, your collective, when I turn it off and walk away and go back to my regular day or my regular night, um, it's it's always there, the message in the message. So I feel your limitation with language, because language is tricky because it's interpreted, and we all interpret it individually. So what I'm hearing is probably so different from what somebody else is hearing at the same moment. So thank God you're such higher intelligence, because otherwise, and we all get what we're supposed to get. So it really is amazing to me. And I think that's why I feel it so much emotional when I work with you. It's amazing to me because it reaches on so many levels. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being so articulate. Mm. We're so moved to be here with you and experience this. This is our joy. Mm. Well, I think we're kind of already there, so let's just move into meditation. Unless there's a question, we're happy to take anything and speak to it. Okay, let's meditate. Mm. Thank you so much. Mm. We are so happy to be with you. Thank you so much for coming. Mm. Be well. We'll see you soon.